Hi YouTube, so I'm sitting outside of my school right now. I just actually drove to Tim Hortons for lunch, but I needed to record this because, I don't know, something happened today that like, just touched my heart so much, and I hate to sound so corny and cheesy when I say that, but what I wanted to say is that I've always kind of looked at teenagers like, I don't know, kind of this weird, non-feeling thing, like these organisms that aren't really completely developed in the emotionally logical sense. And I mean, I don't mean to sound like, oh, I'm not a teenager anymore, so I'm gonna bash in all teenagers. I mean, even when I was a teenager, this one particular event happened that just made me feel like I couldn't believe that teenagers were so heartless. And, you know, aside from the everyday teenagers making other people's lives hell and people actually going all to the point of killing themselves over things that other teenagers have said to them, there was one particular incident when I was in high school, and what happened was that an old lady was crossing the street outside of my high school, and she was hit by a car that had been speeding, and she flew like 20 feet in the air, landed on the floor, and died. And so, of course, everybody in the high school was like outside on the lawn or in the second floor windows trying to see what was going on. And right after this happened, we had drama class. Now, in my drama class, we were all kind of like sitting around, kind of in like an informal circle, telling stories before the teacher came in. And this one girl, she was kind of like the loudmouth of the class. She starts going, "Oh man, it would have been so funny when that old lady was flying through the air." And then she starts like imitating her, like flailing her arms and going, "Ah!" And everybody in the class was just killing themselves laughing. And I was so disgusted that I left. And I got in trouble for leaving class later. But like, I couldn't sit there and deal with that. And it's kind of like, I've never forgotten that ever in my life. And if I ever ran into this girl again today, I would probably tell her that she's probably one of the most disgusting human beings I've ever met. And I feel bad basing it on just a few little things that happened with her, but it's something that I can never forget. Well, I don't know, like I've always kind of thought of teenagers like that, in that sense, that they just don't care what they say and do. They just do whatever they think is funny and whatever pleases the crowd at the time. Well, okay, so my school is right near a high school, and so I usually have to drive by the high school, and it's always like teenagers in the road and blah blah blah, and it's like really hard to get by. But today, as I was making a left turn past the high school, there was a little old lady, very, very small, shorter than me, carrying a whole bunch of bags, walking across the street, and she fell down. And normally this is a circumstance where I would have gotten out of my car and run towards what was happening, but as soon as she fell, like a whole group of kids that was standing on the corner ran out into the street in front of traffic and everything, and they started helping her up and picking up all of her things and putting them back in the bags and carried all her stuff to the side of the street, and they were all asking her if she was okay, whatever. When I made the turn, I pulled up beside them. I wound down the window to make sure that everything was okay, see if she needed any medical help, but these kids like had it under control, and I don't know, I was like really, really proud, and I'm gonna like bring myself to tears talking about it, and it seems really corny and stuff, but I was just so proud of them. And I have to say, it was like the most redeeming moment for teenagers in my mind, because I don't know, I've never pictured them as doing something like that. I mean, I would have done something like that when I was a teenager, but that's also something that I feel like I would have been made fun of for doing, you know? And so it was really nice to see this whole group of students kind of working together to do this for her. And so that's all I wanted to say. Just, I don't know, if you're a teenager and you're watching this, I'm sorry for how I feel about your little group there. It sucks to be put in a group and stereotyped and whatever, and trust me, I know that, because, you know, I'm an adolescent. If anyone gets beat on as much as adolescents, I don't know who it is, because we're kind of in between teenagers and adults. No one takes us serious yet, but teenagers think we're old and lame, so, yeah, good for you guys who helped the old lady up. I know that probably none of you are watching, but if you're that kind of person, and I hope you are, thank you so much for being who you are.